Take it easy and solve the school lunch problem with SPAM. S-P-A-M.
こんにちは、タイガークローラジオ。You are listening now. Back J.
You are listening to Tiger Claw Radio. Number 1 in vintage computer and video game entertainment. And now your host, Critical Failure.
Welcome everybody. Yes, friends, you guys are listening to Tiger Claw Radio. Back from taking a week off, I took my family to Disney World, and in the subsequent time, we had a couple of big things go down. The Sonic the Hedgehog trailer has dropped. We're going to talk a little bit about that, unfortunately. Not too much, just my 2 cents, just like everybody else. And also, the company that creates Rocket League was purchased by Epic Games. So those are the 2 big events that have gone on, along with other little things. Lots of stuff going on with chiptunes right now I want to talk about. But those are the big ones. So let's kick things off with another track from TT Slider. Now I know, not last episode, but I think 2 episodes ago, we had a special. It was all about TT Slider. Well, I picked up one of his albums. He has one album. What is it called now? I have it on my desktop, and I'm blanking already. It was called Skeleton Aesthetic. Yes. This is the last one that I didn't have, so now I have this guy's entire discography. I don't know why I got so hooked on TT Slider. But we're going to play a couple tracks off of this album. It's for sale for €1 or £1 Great British Pound or whatever it is. It adds up to be about $1.29 US dollars. And you guys are listening to Tiger Claw Radio. Alright, let's talk about this thing with Rocket League right off the bat. I wanted to bring this up right at the top of the show because I mentioned this in some of the Vancasts, like as I figured it out, and I got some of the information wrong. So basically, the long and short of it, as you guys are probably aware, Epic Games has their launcher, their storefront. They're competing with Steam. Well, they acquired the company that creates Rocket League. Now, when I first heard about this, it sounded like Rocket League was not being removed from Steam. It was just an acquisition, right? This could mean future games that they produced would be exclusive to Epic But who knows? I found out shortly after that they were in fact planning to pull Rocket League from Steam. I'm really confused by this. First of all, a lot of people are really upset. The general opinion, public opinion, seems to be that this is a poaching of existing Steam games, whereas before this, they were just they were trying to get new games, right? How is this going? Like, I'm a Steam user. I have Rocket League on Steam. I've never played it, but I bought it in the last major sale. How is this going to make me, as a Steam user, want to jump to that platform? I don't understand. It's pretty upsetting. It's even more upsetting to see people get pissed off at Tim Sweeney. Tim Sweeney, the big guy from Epic. You got to understand, this is a name that I've known for a very, very long time. Tim Sweeney isn't just a guy who's coming to light now that Epic is making regrettable decisions, is making people upset. No, this is the guy that single-handedly made Jill of the Jungle. Okay? Jill, from the MS-DOS days, he was a king, all right? He created a game called ZZT that was near and dear to my heart, a little top-down ASCII graphics shooting game that you guys have heard me talk about, but it had a programming language built inside of it so you could create games. That's Tim Sweeney, okay? The Unreal Engine. That's Tim Sweeney. This is a guy who's done things that I have loved, all right? Epic Mega Games. Before they were Epic Games, they were called Epic Mega Games. And a lot of the games that came out in that era are timeless classics. Epic Pinball. Now, he didn't single-handedly create Epic Pinball, but that's his company, and it's in its early days. That's Tim Sweeney becoming a legend, which is why I'm conflicted. I want to give him every benefit of the doubt because of what I know he's capable of, but I see him competing with Steam. He wants to make his platform everything that it can be, but he's willing to do so at the cost of the consumer, and that really hurts, man. It hurts. This is freaking Tim Sweeney. This is like getting slighted by John Romero and John Carmack. You know what I mean? I knew this guy's name before I knew who John Romero and John Carmack were. I knew Tim Sweeney. All right, give me a second here because I think we're crackling a little bit. I'm going to see if I can take care of it. How are we doing? The needles look like they've leveled off a little bit, but not really. There we go. Any better? Yeah, I don't think we're going to get any better than that. So, one thing I'll say is I think all of these, what we're going to see with all of these different clients becoming a problem, I think they're contributing to the rise of Discord. I had always considered Discord, Discord was becoming popular because Skype is so terrible, right? Skype has been an awful program for several years now. And Discord, hey, became the solution. And it was a free version of Mumble. I loved Mumble in the day, but hey, Discord was free. That's not the only reason. Because if you're going to play games on Steam, and you have, 2 or 3 friends, well, hey man, I want to play Rocket League. Rocket League's on this other platform now. Hey man, I want to play Command & Conquer Red Alert, the first one. You got to play that on Origin. Hey man, I want to play Jill of the Jungle, which is on GOG. That's 3 different platforms. You know how easy that is? The only way for those people to still have a meeting place online is to select a meeting place to gather that's outside of those platforms, right? So we're going to see, I think this is going to contribute hugely to Discord being the means of communication. All of these Steam groups and forums over on GOG, they won't die because we're going to see people who cling to those types of things, but they're not going to be what they once were. All right, I put a lot into the Steam community base. I cared about making guides for games that I liked. I still like to make a community guide if I feel like I have knowledge that should be there. Like, for example, the old MS-DOS based games, I feel like there should be a guide somewhere that has their codes. So if you go to play Hexen, you should be able to go to the community guides and find the Hexen codes. So whenever I find a game like that that doesn't have at least the cheat codes, I'll make that cheat code guide. But those are contributions to the Steam community. The community, because that's the part I'm invested in, is the other players, right? And the people. That's something. First of all, that infrastructure I think is something that a lot of these other new platforms are lacking. To be fair, I haven't messed with Epic's launcher. I don't know what kind of community they have, but forums and stuff like that. You start jumping around platforms. That way, it becomes harder to just click into the properties of the game and then get taken right to a densely populated forum where you can see information on modding and that sort of stuff. And that's another thing about Epic, man. I really have to go in and look to see if any of this is there, but I'm willing to bet that those old Epic games that got me to love that company are not on that platform. You want to make a platform that I'm interested in, you better put ZZT and Epic Mega Games on that platform. ZZT and Epic Pinball on that platform. Jill of the Jungle better be there. Tim Sweeney once said his career as a game developer or a game designer ended with Jill of the Jungle. It was the last time he made a game himself. Those should be readily available up there next to Fortnite. I would put freaking Jill of the Jungle next to Fortnite any day of the week. Yeah, you fix that, Sweeney, and then I'll come check out your platform. All right, boys and girls, I got another one for you. A lot of stuff going on with chiptunes, which we're going to talk about a little bit later on in the show once we get to the Vancasts. So let's play a chip tune. Not future funk, not vaporwave, a chip tune. This is an oldie that's been in my folders since I used to raid chipmusic.org. So it's been out for at least a year and a half now. The Monodef is the name of the artist, spelled all weird, M0N0DAEF. It's really difficult to give this guy credit, on the air, but that's who it is. And the name of the song is Congo. It's a good song. It really is. You guys are listening to Tiger Claw Radio. Alright, boys and girls. Sonic the Hedgehog. So the Sonic the Hedgehog trailer has dropped. And before I say word one about it, I want to pause this recording and go watch the trailer. Because I've seen the artwork, I've seen the stills, and yes, Sonic looks terrible, but I want to actually sit and watch the trailer. So bear with me, I'm going to stop the recording for just 1 second, and I'll be right back. Alright, so I've seen it. Okay, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Sonic, he looks bad. But here's the thing. I see this, and it's like, of course everything about this looks terrible. What really blows my mind is how good Jim Carrey looks. That's the real problem. Jim Carrey looks amazing. He looks like, regardless of how much or little he looks like Dr. Robotnik from back in the old days. The performance, the little bit of performance we see in the trailer, he looks like Jim Carrey when he was becoming famous. You know, a bit more like the Ace Ventura days, which I've heard people say, having seen this. So what's going to happen is they have this terrible looking Sonic, and they have this awesome looking Dr. Robotnik. Who in their right mind is going to root for Sonic the Hedgehog to save the day in that movie? Nobody. I'm not in the least bit surprised. I think if this came out 15 years ago, I would have been like, oh man, I wish they made Sonic look better. But it's it's exactly what I would have expected. If I had heard about this when it was being produced, but before it actually got, hey, you know what? They're making a Sonic the Hedgehog movie. The trailer's going to come out in about 2 months. All I know is they got Jim Carrey, of all people, playing Dr. Robotnik. And that's it. It's going to be half live action and half CGI. I would figure it would probably look about like this. So that's my take on the Sonic the Hedgehog movie trailer. Now, I know that's not a spicy take. I know that's what everybody thinks. But, hey, man, if you take a steaming turd, everyone's going to look at it and go, yep, that's a steaming turd. So, I don't know what anyone's expecting me to say. It looks bad. On the other hand, though, I've given up on movies. I gave up on movies altogether. It's not just Sonic. It's not just video game movies. Just movies are bad now. A movie worth seeing is so rare. So rare. Like, a part of me is kind of interested in the Joker movie, but kind of not. I don't know. I can't remember the last time I saw a movie that was new and current and was like, yes, that's an entertaining thing that I just did, that I'm totally satisfied with. Can't remember the last time I did that. And I expect if I see... They played Coolio during the trailer. Why? Coolio hasn't been cool in, like, forever. I don't know, man. I don't know. That's my take on the Sonic the Hedgehog trailer. Let's take a look at some of the comments. Actually, this might be a fun route to take. Number one comment with 22,000 thumbs up. April Fool's was 29 days ago. You guys missed your chance, Paramount. Immediately following that, Mr. Potatoes Head says Paramount needs to take notes on how to CGI Sonic like Marvel did with Rocket. It's like a bad YouTube budget Sonic. Yeah, I would agree with that. Evacuate the city, engage all defenses, and get a Sonic redesign. Why? If they redesign Sonic and they make him look better, it's still going to be a bad movie. This is the one thing I think people are failing to see about this trailer. Sonic's terrible design is not the only thing that makes this movie bad. The voice behind Sonic, now, we hear a few lines of the voice and it sounds terrible. I get it that Jaleel White is like untouchable and there's nobody else like him, but this guy is really bad. Let's see what else we got. Your fantasies can never be quenched, you frickin' fricks. Alright. Tucker Ali says, Producer, how much hate do you want your movie to get? Paramount, yes. Oh boy. A lot of Ugandan Knuckles references among the comments. Let's see. Yeah, good old Sonic the Gangsta Paradise theme is just a classic. Sonic and the Gangsta Paradise. Gosh, what a dopey song. I remember being excited when Gangster Paradise came on the radio. Good old Coolio. Whew. You know, I had a lot of good van casts that were just waiting. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I had van casts from before I went on vacation. I don't know where the cable is to hook my phone up, and I'm losing time. I've only got a certain amount of time to get this episode done, so I'm starting to think like I might just have to wing it, do it the old-fashioned way. I don't know. Maybe next week. Maybe next week will be 3 hours long. Who knows? But got a lot of van casts saved up on the phone, and I can't get them out. So let's talk a little bit about what's going on in the chiptune universe right now. 2 weeks ago, before I went on vacation, I've been talking about getting my chiptunes onto compilations. I just released a couple weeks ago. I released an album of like live jams using my Korg Volca keys and a couple other devices I've hanging around. And then a couple weeks before that, I released an album of Famitracker tunes. Got been doing some good work with Famitracker. I got right to work on it as soon as I got home and got things going. So I have some tunes I'm pretty happy with coming up the pipeline, but I'm focusing on getting on compilations. That's how I want to get my name out there. I talked a little bit about getting on Chiptunes Equals Win Volume 8. The deadline to get on Chiptunes Win 8 is July 6th, so I've got 2 months to go. Now, I noticed there was another compilation when I got home. Battle of the Bits, Spring Tracks 8 is accepting tracks as well, so I want to get on both of those. Am I going to get on both of them? I'm not going to get on either one, but I'm submitting tracks to both of these. That's my goal. So Battle of the Bits, they go by a countdown sort of deal. So roughly May 26th. It's May 3rd right now. So 1 month until Battle of the Bits finishes. 2 months until Chiptunes Equals Win 8 finishes. So I'm going to submit tracks to both of those. Battle of the Bits Spring Tracks 8 is first up. So the thing about Battle of the Bits is it has to be in a specific format. If you're going to submit to most of the competitions they do are like, okay, this is the Atari competition, so it has to be done with Atari related chips. The Sega competition has to be Sega, so on and so forth. Spring Tracks is the open series, spring, summer, winter, whatever. But it's still they only accept certain formats. So thankfully, Famitracker is one of those formats they accept. So I'm familiar with Famitracker. I've done some work with it. I've got a few tracks in the pipeline. That and Battle of the Bits is much less restrictive than Chiptunes Equals Win 8. I can submit a track, and I can also use it on my album, and that's fine. Also, when I submit the track, it immediately goes up for public consumption. You can go and listen to the tracks that people have submitted right away, which is awesome. It makes it much more loose. So I'll definitely be submitting something to that. And we'll see what I can get together for Chiptunes Win 8. But first we're going to focus on Battle of the Bits, Spring Tracks 8. So what do I have? I played those 2 demos like a month ago. I dusted them off, and I took the runtime of each one. Now each one of those songs runs about a minute and 20 seconds, thereabouts. So I copied the progression twice. Or I made a copy of it. So now each one will play, and then it will play a carbon copy of itself. And then I'm going back, and what I'm doing now is I'm adjusting the leads on the second run through. Adding some different harmonies, taking some things out. Just the song is more or less the same. I'm just making some changes to try and add some variation to it. My goal is to create songs that have a solid end instead of just, okay, here's a loop for 20 seconds, we'll roll it 3 times, and then we have a song that goes over a minute. I've done that in the past. That's not going to work in a competition. So this is my way of trying to up my game just a little bit. Now I don't have any additional demos for you to listen to, but that's what's going on with the chiptune lexicon at this particular time. So let's do this. I can't believe I can't find my cable. I can't find my cable. This is ridiculous. Let's play another track. I've got one more. I dug this out also from the archives. It's been on the show before, but it's from when I used to cruise chiptunes or chipmusic.org. It's from Diagamblik, which is a name that's resurfaced in the recent past. And the song is Hey Justin, What's Up, Man? I don't know why the song captured my imagination. It's just one that I like. It's one that I held on to after it was played on the show a couple times. So here it is again. You're listening to Tiger Claw Radio. Alright, boys and girls, you know what time it is. This is a time I like to set aside a couple minutes just to thank the sponsors. This is a Patreon-sponsored podcast, so these guys have come together to become the one and only means of support that I have. They give their resources to make sure TCR comes back every single week, so I like to read their names off in a hall of distinguished gentlemen. And they are Hemrock, James, Sendu, Tecmo Balls, Darabka, and Konstantin Kelman. I also provide early access to the show as early as I can. So it's Friday night now. As soon as I get the show done, it's going to go up, and I'll make sure that they can listen to it early. Thank you guys very much. All right, boys and girls. So with that, let's take a look at some of the comments that we've got over the past week or two. Starting with YouTube. You guys know how this goes. It's just me. It's just you. This is a small operation. It's a little podcast. But that's the reason we listen to little podcasts, isn't it? Because it's easier for us to converse and talk to each other. So anything you have that you want to say, YouTube's probably the best place to do it. But if you know me personally, by all means, send me an email. I'll do the best I can. Just be super clear about what I can and can't read on the air. So starting with the comments from last week. I don't remember if I had anything. Ooh, there's a lot. All right. Took a week off and got a bunch of great comments. Let's see. Starting from, the Gaming Beast says, I played Modern Warfare 2 since my cousin was into it. Actually, you know what? Let's make the font a little bigger. I played Modern Warfare 2 since my cousin was into it. I did enjoy the single-player campaign and felt like popping collars, going to frat parties, and saying bruh all the time. The single-player campaign is legit good. Even if you question how the Chinese could attack the US and why they would do it. I played it in multiplayer for quite some time, but was never really quite good at it, although I did get better. I honestly only play multiplayer games with my bros. We should try for Zandronum again sometime. I remember the last time I tried to play it, it was a hacked server, and I was done. Still, it's awesome. You get to play through a game with your busy. It's awesome you get to play through a game with your busy schedule. If you want shorter experiences for games you can play, I would recommend to play some classic style point-and-click games from your GOG or Steam account. Okay. Have a walkthrough next to you when you get stuck, and check only when you hit the wall. I recommend you specifically play through the other Space Quest games you haven't played yet. That would be taking a break from the comment. That would be Space Quest 3 and 4. Let's get back to it. You can usually beat most of them in under 10 or even 5 hours or less. The Wadget Eye games are usually a good choice too, as you know. Yeah, I would agree. I want to get the Kane and Lynch games as soon as I can, but they've been banned for some time in Germany. Not anymore as far as I can tell. Fear 3 is awesome. I played through it with Swingle too. Maybe we should do the same if you want to. I'd be up for that. You got Lord of the Rings War in the North. That one is fun. That one is a fun co-op hack and slash game as well. I do have that. Question of the Beast: what do you think of Mortal Kombat 11 getting woke? Basically, inserting SJW stuff into the game. I feel it's sad that a franchise that prided itself for shocking people is trying to appease the mainstream sensibilities and whims. I guess if a video game becomes too big and has shareholders, then we get too many cooks in the kitchen situation. I'm sick of social politics sneaking itself into games where it doesn't make any sense, like the crazy fantasy world of Mortal Kombat. There are many political simulators, strategy games, and god games where this topic can and has been addressed, but it seems to get into all major game series. We don't want to escape. Don't we want to escape reality for a short time and not be reminded of it when Shao Kahn says, "Make Outer World great again"? What the heck is happening to our world? Yeah, I'm at a point where I don't like politics at all from anyone, from either side. I see these big AAA games and they get wrapped up in politics. And it doesn't matter what the politics are. If you're thinking about politics, you're not thinking about an awesome game. Okay, so that's my problem. I looked at I looked at Mortal Kombat 11 a little bit. My problem, the reason I'm not interested in Mortal Kombat 11 is not anything to do with the politics. The politics piss me off. They're dumb. They make me sigh. You know, but at the same time, it's like you can have a great game, and if it has some politics or whatever in it, it's okay. All right, it can still be good. Borderlands 2. It's got some heavy. It was written by Anthony Birch. It's got some heavy liberal politics in it, but it's still a Borderlands game. Do you see what I'm saying? If you just play the game for the game, it can be okay. It doesn't have to ruin the game, I would say. So I just want to be clear. That's not the reason I'm not interested in Mortal Kombat 11. My problem with Mortal Kombat 11 is the actual gameplay that I've seen. It looks like it's too easy to loot people. If you watch that Donkey video where he's doing jump kicks and is able to just one-shot people with unbreakable combos of doing jump kick over and over again. There's balance issues to the game. Now look, I'm not saying I would never play it for that reason, but I'm saying I'm not going to buy it as expensive as it is for that reason. When it comes down to it, my policy remains: let the game come out, let the game be out for a little while, and let the early adopters sort out all the problems. Okay? So you can take a game like Mortal Kombat 11, after it's been out a little while, you know exactly what the politics are, you know exactly what the problems are, as long as you've done your research. That's all it is. And that's really what it boils down to. It's just another fighting game. It's got its problems. It's got its problems. It's just another fighting game. I want you to do this, Sean. I want you to take Mortal Kombat 11 and I want you to put it next to Street Fighter Cross Tekken. Street Fighter X Tekken. That's a game that goes for $7 routinely when there's a major sale. So let's see. Let's do the math for just a second. Right. Okay. Mortal Kombat is $60. At $7 for Street Fighter Cross Tekken, that means Mortal Kombat 11 has to be $53 better than Street Fighter Cross Tekken. And if it isn't, then and you're not interested in becoming a pro player, I guess you gotta find another game then, don't you, son? What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? I don't like the politics either, but I think it's important to know that that's not the only problem with this game. Aren't people saying that if you want to buy all the outfits, it's like $1,000 or something crazy like that? I got suckered into the whole outfit scam with Street Fighter V. I got suckered into it big time. I didn't spend any $1,000 on it. Gracious. Criminy. I think at some point, this whole DLC train, people are going to be like, all right now. All right. $1,000. That's kind of crazy. Okay, game, you can just relax just a little bit. You talked about a bunch of other stuff in this comment as well. Xandronum. I got word while I was at work today on my phone that there is a Quake Champions mod for Xandronum. And I'm just remembering that now. I kind of want to drop everything and go play it. Yeah, I've actually dusted off Xandronum and played it a few times in the last couple weeks. The couple weeks leading up to going to Disney World. Definitely worth getting out, getting working. We could play that again. It's Xandronum. It's freaking Doom. It's still great. Get Doom Seeker. There you go. Good stuff, man. You also talked a little about Call of Duty. I kind of finished up my Call of Duty phase before I left for vacation. I finished it with completing Black Ops. Completed the single-player story to Black Ops. So I've completed every Call of Duty game that I own at this time. If there's another major sale, I kind of want to get the first two. Just cause. But yeah, I think I'm good. I like those games. They're okay. All right. Mecha Menace. Mecha Menace writes, maybe this will set your mind at ease regarding playing songs posted on SoundCloud or any other service. Say you purchase an album off of Bandcamp. That's for personal use. Broadcast use over YouTube is not included in the license unless the artist specifies what you can do with the songs. Same goes for SoundCloud. If you're playing Bandcamp songs on here and feel fine, you can use the same logic to play SoundCloud songs. Hey, you know what? You're right. However, I understand your deal. I only use songs in my videos that say they can be used commercially because YouTube places ads on videos whether I monetize or not. By the way, YouTube stripped mine away because I'm not cool enough. Yeah, mine too, my man. It might dilute the mix. Being in that new mini Sega console is a celebration of Sega Genesis. However, Sega Genesis is backwards compatible with Sega Master System games. I'm not suggesting putting every Sega Master System game on there, but they could throw in a couple. They could throw in the complete set of Phantasy Star games, 1 through 4, on the new Genesis Mini. You know what? I would agree with you there. It's a weird thing when you go back and play Sega Master System games because they're certainly simpler than the Genesis games. You can see the hardware difference, right? I'm trying to think of an example other than Great Baseball, because Great Baseball is usually the game I play on my Master System. But you could compare the Altered Beast games. That's a game that came out for both systems. You can see it, right? The Genesis had more power. They did more with it. It was, it's the next step up. But the original Phantasy Star stands alone in that it's better than a lot of Genesis games. I'm not saying it's better than any Genesis game, but I'm just saying you could take that one Sega Master System game and it would stand up next to a lot of the games that came out on the Sega Genesis because it's a great game. It definitely stands apart. I'm trying to see the Master System games on my shelf, but I've got a stack of 8 tracks in front of them. What do I have I have Great Baseball on my system. Okay, I'm done talking about the Master System because clearly I'm not going to do it justice. Yeah, that game stands alone. I think they can pull some strings and get that on there. They did it with the collection for the Xbox 360 and the PS3, right? You had to unlock it or something, and that's how they got around it. That's fine. Just do it like that. A complete game is a perfect prize as an unlock. Get some old Master System games, and that's what you get for completing achievements. That's great. All right. Mecha Menace. Good to hear from you, man. Kaiser Cade writes, CF is right. I am a monster. That tape cost me $33 shipped. Yep, $24 to ship to Australia. Jeez. I'm looking forward to receiving it in the mail, and I hope you get your copy before they are all out. If not, the album seems to get a lot of represses. The pressing of that album that does sting that is sold out is the dark pink / second press. Love that red casing with that sticker. It looks like an old tape that you put in a Teddy Ruxpin or one that came with those old storybooks. Anyway, I'm looking forward to that Mega Drive Mini. The games I want to see on that are Virtua Racer and some Sega 3D and 32X games. Okay, maybe not 32X games because I can't think of a single good one. Don't say Knuckles Chaotix because that game wasn't great. Wait, no. Put in 32X games just for history's sake. But if they had CD games, then I'd love to see the Final Fight, the version that actually has multiplayer, Shining Force CD, and Snatch Samurai Showdown. Trolling aside, it's great to. It's going to be a great console, unless it's not. Dude, I've also been on a trading card game kick. Oh my gosh, I'm reading this all wrong. I've also been on a trading card game kick again. It started with me getting back into the Pokemon TCG, but now it's growing to where I want to buy a physical Yu-Gi-Oh again. I used to have a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh cards, but I got rid of them due to the game room becoming too complicated. Yes, that happened with Yu-Gi-Oh, but now with the Speed Duel set, I want to start playing the real thing again. I do still play Yu-Gi-Oh video games, though. I do want to get into some new games, whether they are physical or digital. Although digital may be the best option for if you're getting into the games, as starting with physical sets are always so annoying to learn the game. Yeah, I get you. Taking a break from the comment. Yeah, I agree. If you play some of the video games first, it can make it easier to figure out how you play the game. I don't have anybody locally I can play Yu-Gi-Oh with, so I actually learned how to play Yu-Gi-Oh by playing the Game Boy Advance games. I bought some of the cards, so I gave some to my children when we were in our TCG kick. But yeah, I don't think I've ever actually played a local real-life game of Yu-Gi-Oh. Let's get back to the comment. He writes, I do have some Final Fantasy TCG decks, but after seeing how the game is actually played, I just want to give them away. You have got me tempted to buy the Duel Masters GBA or PS1 game to play. Funny enough, I was looking at a list of the most expensive cards of all time, and only one of the Duel Master cards made the list. It was Nerve, the Leveler, and it's worth over $500. It was a contest card. I wasn't a fan of the anime back when I was a kid. I did watch it, and that was only to perv on the chick in the red dress that had the massive, yeah, my 12-year-old creepy self. Excuse me, my 12-year-old happy self. Gosh, I'm sorry. I'm also tempted to buy SNK vs. Capcom TCG video games, but only the good ones. But the only good ones came out for Neo Geo Pocket. I did play the DS one back in the day, and that one was okay, but not great. Do you have any more TCG games to recommend, whether they be digital or physical? Don't say Magic the Gathering. I've already bought those on your recommendation years ago. They aren't bad games. All right. So let's go back to earlier in your comment. You talked about Duel Masters. Duel Masters is pretty fun. Hemrock is a big fan of Duel Masters. He played all the way through the one I'm playing now. I would say you're going to get the most bang for your buck. If you're trying to play a new game, Duel Masters is a great place to start. Duel Masters for the GBA. If you're going to play a trading card game, video game, and you want to go old school, a lot of good, like disproportionately good amount of those games for the GBA. So that's one. I'm going to go out on a limb and assume you have the Pokemon trading card game for the Game Boy Color, right? Because that one is a timeless classic. As far as other trading card games, I had some Card Fight Vanguard cards, but I ended up selling them because the game seemed too complicated. Force of Will seems pretty cool. I got a box of Force of Will cards that I bought on a recommendation a while back from Alex Swingle. Haven't actually played the game yet, though. I have Magic the Gathering cards. I've got Pokemon trading cards. I've got a small selection of Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and that's really it. You might dig. You have the patience. You might dig Card Fight Vanguard. I would say for physical, check out Card Fight Vanguard or Force of Will. For video games, check out Duel Masters for the Game Boy Advance. Those are my let's give you an answer that isn't Magic the Gathering answers. And by the way, Kaiser, it's good to hear from you, man. Those of you who don't remember, Kaiser was right. Kaiser was like the one of the first people ever to write into TCR 10 years ago. First people that ever write in were Kaiser and Hemrock. Oh boy. All right, Desm 101 writes in, I also avoided the Call of Duty games up until very recently for the same reason you mentioned. I generally avoided things that were too popular in the mainstream. Typical culture snob. Ha. When I picked up Modern Warfare, because I had been hearing it was one of the best single-player campaigns of contemporary shooters, I started playing a bit, and it's taken me a second to get used to how realistic. That's it. There's no more. Where's the rest of the comment? It like stops mid-sentence. Desmond, what happened, man? I also avoided Call of Duty games until very recently for the same reason you mentioned. I generally avoided things that were too popular in mainstream. Typical culture snob. When I picked up Modern Warfare, because I had been hearing it was one of the best single-player campaigns of contemporary shooters, I had started playing it a bit, and it's taken me a second to get used to how realistic. Huh, okay. All right, so let's talk about the original Modern Warfare, because it sounds like that's what you're talking about. Good game. The storyline, the single player campaign is a worthy experience, especially considering how cheaply you can find that game today. I enjoyed it very much. The multiplayer is functional. There's fun to be had there. Not many people play it. When I get on to play Call of Duty Modern Warfare on multiplayer, which has only happened a couple times, there's only a couple of servers that are up and running. But then again, you only really need one server that's up and running to play the game, don't you? So, that's Call of Duty. There's really not a whole lot else I can say about it. It's one of these weird things where a couple of those games have a mod section. I think Modern Warfare is one of them. There's a section that says mods, but I've never installed or went looking for a site that has them. So I don't know if it really has awesome mod support or not. But that could be a thing. Don't know. Doesn't. It's good to hear from you, man. And I did see that you put a new trick. Oh, you put a new track out on your SoundCloud. I'm one of your eager followers. Death Adder writes, I don't play Call of Duty games, as you'd assume, but I have thought about trying out the remastered Modern Warfare since it's well known that it is the GOAT of frat boy shooters. And if you're going to pop your collar, you might as well play the cream of the crop. Speaking of such games, I can tell you that if you ever join the Xbox Master Race, Halo 5 is terrible. The story and the gameplay are boring. 0 out of 10 Doritos would not recharge my shield too. Did you see the new Dead by Daylight update where if the survivors hold the game hostage, the entity literally pops up out of the floor and eats the survivor after 3 minutes? It looks pretty badass. I did see that. I haven't played it yet because I started playing other things, but I agree. Looks pretty cool. I'm somebody who plays as a survivor mostly, and I still think it looks cool. So that's pretty awesome. Having played, again, Modern Warfare, the original one, I don't know anything about the remastered edition. Nothing. But I can tell you if it has the same single-player campaign, it's a worthy experience. I'm not going to tell you it's the best game out there. I'm not going to tell you it's the best single-player, any of that stuff. It's a different thing in that they control the flow of the game by making it so that you cannot open doors in the original Modern Warfare. You have to wait for somebody else to come, quote-unquote, breach the door, which I noticed very quickly that's how they controlled the play area, right? They make it look like they make it look like you're in a big open world, but you got to go through this door, and it's locked, and you got to wait for Sergeant whatever his face is, Sergeant Mutton Chops, Captain Price or whatever his name is, to come kick the door in, because you can't kick that door in. It's not your job. Still a good game though. All right. We're only 53 minutes in. I said this was going to be a 2-hour episode. I can't believe I lost the cable to the Bandcast. That is devastating. I've got 39 games in a Steam library collection marked games that are finished. It's the finished category. These are games I've played to the very end. I haven't 100% of them, per se, but I've played through the campaign and seen the credits. To give you an idea of the criteria, I've got, let's see here. I've got Street Fighter 4 on here because I've played through that. I played through the storyline with all characters. I played through the arcade game with all characters because that one has different endings for all the characters. But then I also have, I guess I don't have it on here. I was going to add King of Fighters, some of the early King of Fighters games, just having played through the arcade mode, and to see the ending, because those that don't, have separate endings. So I've only got a few here, so I thought it might be worth going through. You guys might know that I'm not somebody who finishes games a lot. I finished the Blackwell series is what tops this list because it's in alphabetical order. So the Blackwell series had 5 games in it. Now earlier in the episode tonight, Sean was saying, hey, I should play some of these old point-and-click games. Play Space Quest, play Wadget Eye. Wadget Eye's a company that made the Blackwell games and some other things. Well, I loved these games. I loved them. They weren't perfect. I didn't really like the ending of the 5th game. The way they tied up the series was kind of bleh. But the banter back and forth between Rosa and Joey, I think, is some truly awesome dialogue. They were characters that I bought into in a big, big way. So those games I played all the way through. I remember those very fondly. A lot like, what was it? The Chizo cycle? The Trilby games. 7 Days a Skeptic and 5 Days a Stranger and all that. I remember playing through those games one after another after another. I played through that whole series in a week, and oh my gosh, I could not stop. I couldn't stop. It was incredible. I loved it. And they're free, too. You know what? I went back to revisit that game on this computer when I had Windows 7. I've upgraded to Windows 10 since then. I want to see if they work now. 5 Days a Stranger. Alright, so that used to be there was a free version, right? And then there was a $5 you could get a version that had like a special menu and Easter eggs and a couple other things. But now he said, Ben Crawshaw, Yahtzee, said, okay, you guys can have it. Just take it. It's fine. So when I found that out, I was like, yeah! So I downloaded the free one and I was like, not working. When I played through the whole series, I played through it on a really old computer, and it just didn't make the jump to Windows 7. But I'm going to try it right now, and we're going to see if it functions. Because if it does, my goodness. Oh, look, they're all here. 5 days, 6 days, 7 days. 7 Days a Skeptic was always my favorite. That's the one on the spaceship. And then they find a coffin. And then the machete man comes after them. Alright, Windows setup. Give it a second here. Look, I don't know how this is going to turn out in terms of listenability. Right? But you got to understand, I'm at the edge of my seat right now. Let's try and launch it. 7days.exe. I see a white screen. It's not looking good. No. No. Alright, it's not just going to launch out of the box. I might be able to play with it. Come on now. Now I can't get it to close. Uh-oh. Did that mess up my recording? It may have. Alright, I'm going to have to play with this off the air. I was hoping that I could just bing, bang, boom, and I'm in. Apparently not. Alright, it worked. I got it running. I am beyond excited. 7 Days a Skeptic, my man. No, I got to do this in order. This is 4 games in the series. Let's see. 5 Days a Stranger was the first one. This was one of the videos that I did like way back in the early days of my YouTube channel. I made a video for 5 Days a Stranger. I was like, hey guys, this is free games. I like to do free games because it's easier for me to acquire games, to talk about if I do the free ones. So this is a great one. You guys should check it out. And I meant to revisit it and go back and do one for this game, and I just never got around to it. I'm doped, man. I'm excited. So let's see. How are we doing here? We're 59 minutes and 30 seconds in. All right, guys. I'm back after taking a week off. My apologies that this episode is only an hour and not 2 hours. I really wanted it to be 2 hours. But I burned up a lot of time looking for that cable, and I don't know what else to do. But you know what? This is an hour I can hang my hat on. And that's really what it's about. We gotta make the best of what we got. Life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. Stay positive. And as you head off into this week, I hope you make it a good one. Thanks for spending some time hanging out, and I'll see you next Monday.